a human right. It's a civil rights issue. Without the capability of reading, you are not going to go anywhere positive anytime soon. Everyone needs to learn how to read, and reading is not something that's natural. Children need to be taught how to read, and that's not necessarily happening in all classrooms. I am Sandra Bermudez, the CEO and founder of the Lucy Project. We teach struggling readers how to read, and we teach teachers how to teach better with a strong focus on underserved communities. I had the honor of adopting my daughter when she was 3 months old, and she was a happy and healthy baby. Unfortunately, when it was time to read, she really struggled with reading, and we didn't know what was off, we didn't know what to do. And after a very long time of knocking on every door, we realized she was severely dyslexic. We were told that when we were talking about our daughter that not everyone had to go to college. And that just saddened me. And that's when I realized there are not many services. Our children are not being taken care in schools. So I decided to start a nonprofit to help kids like my daughter.
Hi, I'm Shantae Duggins. I oversee the New Roles Reading Initiative, which is a program that was established by legislation in 2021. It's an at-home literacy program. The idea is to provide free books and resources to eligible students and their caregivers across the state of Florida to really bolster their literacy skills, help to develop their reading confidence, and to develop that lifelong love of reading. We mail books October through June of the school year, completely free to eligible students.
Reading, they say, is dreaming with your eyes open. And if students can read, they really have the ability to dream. My name's Heather Manley. I'm the Director of Certification with the Institute of Multisensory Education, otherwise known as IMSE. We are a company that provides professional development to teachers all over the world.
U says,
U says,
What's different about us is we are all teachers. So we're teachers helping teachers, and we're all been in that position where we had students that are struggling with literacy, and we want to do everything we can to try to support them.
O says,
In Florida, we've trained over 4,000 teachers, and we hope that number keeps increasing.
We thought everything was fine, but knowing what I know now, there were some things that I should have paid attention to that I know now are early indicators for children that struggle with learning disabilities, in particular dyslexia. She struggled to learn nursery rhymes. She could not rhyme. She would mispronounce words. Instead of saying spaghetti, she would say paschetti. And everyone thought, that's so cute. But when you have a pattern of missed patterns, it is pointing usually to a problem. She struggled to learn her ABCs, just to learn the alphabet. Learning the difference between right versus left was also very hard for her. And if it had been only one of these things, it would have been fine. But when you start seeing a pattern and you know what you're looking for, you say, okay, my child probably needs extra help. Let's start working on it right now. Early intervention based on the science of reading is key.
So the science of reading is a vast body of scientific research that's been compiled over decades. What the science of reading really will guide us and tells us what's important from 0 to 5 is, first of all, background knowledge and vocabulary. And the good news is we get that as parents by doing some really fun, amazing things with our children that they're gonna love.
The key skills are oral language, so being able to speak and understand, what's spoken. Alphabet knowledge, so knowing the letters, the shapes, the sounds of letters, and then phonological awareness. And that's all about listening, so being able to manipulate the sounds in spoken language. And research tells us that the most important aspect of phonological awareness, which is really an umbrella term, is phonemic awareness. And so the phonemes are like the smallest unit of sound in our spoken language. So being able to distinguish the difference between C says K and M says M, and so cat and mat are different words. And so just having kids play with words and play with language so they can manipulate those sounds really set the foundation for them to be strong readers and writers. There's so many things that an early childhood educator can do to set a young child up for success.
For our youngest 0 to 5, the important components that I think that teachers and parents can really address are that vocabulary development, that rich oral language, making sure we're reading to our students. The more we can read aloud, every day will really be helpful, especially rhyming books.
The magic is talking, right? Talking with kids, not at them, engaging in conversation with children, being intentional about the words that we expose them to, encouraging them to talk to each other. And so very simply, even with our babies who are in our care, being able to model language for them. So I am, putting the blocks back on the shelf, and I'm picking up the blue block and then the red block, and so being able to model language for even our youngest children, and then creating opportunities for kids to explore and learn new words. And so if a child knows the word happy, being able to introduce them to more sophisticated vocabulary. So maybe they're joyful, or maybe they're ecstatic. And so being intentional about finding those opportunities to model language for kids. It's very much a back and forth, right? A serve and return. So you say something, I'll say something back. I'll extend what you say. I'll ask an open-ended question and encourage you to say more, right? So reading comprehension is a product of decoding and language comprehension. And so the key there is that it's important for kids to know how to decode a word, and also to have that background knowledge so they can access the text. And so those are things that, again, thinking about this as an entire ecosystem that educators, that families, that caregivers can do to support the child even before they begin formal schooling.
Even from when they're newborn babies, the more we talk to them, we can tell them about our day, talk about, what we're going to do, tell stories of our past. They're listening, they're developing, they're putting language together. As they get older, taking them outdoors in nature, speaking in complete sentences, describing what we see, letting them talk to us in complete sentences.
Dyslexia screeners are not mandated by the Florida Department of Education. They should be in every classroom starting in pre-K, and they should be done 3 times a year. That way we can easily identify a child. It is not expensive, it is not time consuming, but it is necessary, needed, wanted, and it's a must. I look at my daughter, she only started receiving intervention in first grade, late first grade, and it took us all the way up to 5th grade to remediate her. Had we started in pre-K, had she been getting good intervention in pre-K and kindergarten, her life might have been a bit easier. It didn't have to be that hard, and it didn't have to be that expensive. There's not enough of us. That's why it's so important to try to affect change at systems level. The universal screener, well-trained teachers that teach with fidelity would be a game changer for our state.